Do you feel like your emotions are controlling you instead of you being in command? As if you're a boat adrift in a stormy ocean, without anchor, without direction. Perhaps you wake up in the middle of the night with your chest tight, or spend your days carrying an invisible weight that no one else can see. You're not alone in this struggle, and more importantly, you don't have to keep living this way. There is a path to emotional freedom, and it begins exactly where you are right now. In this video, we're going to dive deeply into the world of your emotions, exploring not just what you feel, but why you feel it and how you can transform these feelings into powerful allies for your healing. You'll discover practical and accessible tools that Louise Hay used to transform millions of lives around the world. We'll talk about resentment, forgiveness, your inner child, self-love, and the profound connection between your emotions and your physical body. And there's more. There will be a special moment in this video where you can join a community of people who, just like you, are on a journey of transformation and healing. You'll leave here with a powerful practical exercise that you can start applying immediately to feel real change. Stay with me for the next few minutes. Take a deep breath, open your heart, and allow yourself to receive this message of hope and transformation. Together, we're going to rewrite the story of your emotions, transforming pain into wisdom and fear into love. You deserve this peace, you deserve this healing, and it's closer than you imagine. Let's begin now. Asterisk, asterisk, hidden voices, asterisk, asterisk. Have you ever stopped to think that your emotions aren't your enemies? They are, in fact, precious messengers from your soul, trying to communicate something profound about what you truly need. Louise Hay taught us that each feeling carries a unique wisdom, an invitation to look within with compassion. When you feel anger, sadness, or fear, your body is speaking to you, asking for attention and care. Ignoring these messages is like hanging up the phone when someone you love is trying to reach you. Allow yourself to hear what your heart has to say. So often, we were taught to repress what we feel, to push under the rug what bothers us. Society tells us to be strong, not to cry, to move forward without looking back. But Louise Hay knew that this repression creates energetic blockages that affect not only our mind, but also our physical body. Each unprocessed emotion accumulates, creating tension, pain, and even disease. When you allow your emotions to flow naturally, without judgment, you're giving yourself the gift of authenticity. I allow my emotions to flow freely, knowing they guide me toward healing. Think of Sarah, a 35-year-old woman who always prided herself on being the strong person in her family. She never cried, never complained, always had a smile on her face. But inside, Sarah carried years of unexpressed sadness, stored hurts, and silent fears. One day, her body began to scream what her voice couldn't say. Constant headaches, digestive problems, insomnia. It was only when Sarah began to honor her emotions, to allow the tears to come, that she found the path to true healing. According to Louise Hay, our body is a perfect mirror of our thoughts and emotions. Your emotions are like waves in the ocean. They come, reach their peak, and naturally dissipate when you allow them to exist. Resisting them is like trying to hold water with closed hands. The more you squeeze, the more it escapes, causing frustration and exhaustion. When you open your hands and let the water flow, you discover that you can swim with the waves, not against them. Louise Hay always reminded us that accepting our emotions doesn't mean drowning in them, but rather acknowledging them, honoring them, and then letting them follow their natural course. I accept all my emotions with love and understanding. So, how about we start seeing your emotions in a new light? Instead of fearing or judging them, you can begin to treat them as wise friends who bring valuable information about your journey. Each feeling is an opportunity for growth, a door to deeper self. And when you learn the language of your emotions, you discover an immense power within yourself, the power to heal, to transform, and to live with more lightness and joy. But how exactly can we begin to work with specific emotions that have challenged us for so long? The silent poison, resentment is like poison you drink, expecting the other person to suffer. Louise Hay used to say that carrying resentment is one of the most destructive forms of self-punishment, because you keep reliving the pain, keeping yourself trapped in the past. Each time you recall that painful situation, that betrayal, that injustice, you're drinking that poison again. Your body doesn't know the difference between the original event and the memory. It reacts as if it's happening now, releasing the same stress hormones, creating the same tension. And who suffers from this? You, dear one, only you. Anger, on the other hand, isn't necessarily negative. According to Louise Hay, anger can be a healthy emotion when expressed constructively. It shows us where our boundaries have been violated, where we need to defend ourselves or make changes. The problem arises when anger transforms into chronic resentment, when it settles in our heart like a permanent guest who refuses to leave. Think of Michael, a man who was betrayed by a business partner 10 years ago. He lost money, lost his company, but what he lost most was his peace. Every day, Michael woke up with that story in his head, feeding the anger, planning imaginary revenge, until his body began to manifest ulcers and heart problems. I release all anger and resentment, choosing inner peace. Did you know that resentment is often linked to specific physical pains? Louise Hay taught us that unprocessed emotions manifest in the body in very particular ways. Resentment can lodge in the shoulders, creating tension and stiffness, as if you're carrying the weight of the world. It can manifest in the liver, which in traditional Chinese medicine is considered the organ that stores anger. It can create digestive problems, because you're literally having difficulty digesting what happened. When you begin to connect the dots between your emotions and your body, you gain a precious map for healing. The liberating truth is this: you don't need to forgive the other person to free yourself from resentment. Forgiveness, as Louise Hay always emphasized, is a gift you give yourself, not to the other. It's a decision to stop carrying this weight, to stop giving your power and your vital energy to something that's already past. Imagine that resentment is like a backpack full of stones that you carry every day. Each stone represents a hurt, an injustice, a pain. You can choose to keep carrying this backpack, bending your back under the weight, or you can choose to put it on the ground and walk free. I choose to free myself from the past and embrace the lightness of the present. So, where in your life are you holding resentment? What are the old stories you keep retelling, the wounds you keep poking? Louise Hay invites us to take an honest and compassionate inventory of these areas, not to judge ourselves, but to free ourselves. Because every moment you spend trapped in resentment is a moment stolen from your joy, your peace, your capacity to love fully, and you deserve so much more than that. But how exactly do we begin this process of release? Is there a master key that can open these chains? If this insight is touching your heart right now, if you're feeling that you've finally found words for what you carry inside, I invite you to join this community of healing and transformation. Click the subscribe button, leave your like so more people can find this message of hope, and share this video with someone you know needs to hear this. And in the comments, tell me, which part of this topic resonated most with you? What are you ready to release? Your voice matters here, and I'd love to hear about your journey. The forgotten key, forgiveness is, perhaps, the most powerful act of self-love you can practice. Louise Hay dedicated much of her work to teaching about forgiveness because she knew, from her own experience, that it's impossible to truly heal without forgiving. But let's clarify something important. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting what happened, doesn't mean saying everything was okay, doesn't mean returning to a toxic situation. Forgiving means releasing the emotional burden you carry, means stopping allowing the past to control your present. It's a conscious decision to reclaim your personal power and your inner peace. Many people resist forgiveness because they believe that by forgiving, they're somehow absolving the other or minimizing the pain they suffered. According to Louise Hay, this is a misunderstanding of forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about you. It's about recognizing that staying trapped in hurt is hurting you more than it's hurting the one who hurt you. Think of Jennifer, a woman who was abandoned by her mother as a child. For decades, Jennifer carried this wound, allowing it to color all her relationships, all her choices. When she finally began to work on forgiveness, it wasn't easy, but it was liberating. I free myself from the past and embrace the peace that forgiveness brings. The forgiveness process begins with yourself. Louise Hay always said that the most important forgiveness is self-forgiveness because we're often our harshest critics. Do you blame yourself for things you did or didn't do? Do you mentally punish yourself for past mistakes? Do you carry shame for not having been perfect? This constant self-criticism is a form of emotional violence you inflict on yourself daily. When you learn to forgive yourself, to treat yourself with the same compassion you'd offer a dear friend, you open the doors to profound transformation. I forgive myself completely and love myself unconditionally. There's a powerful exercise that Louise Hay recommended. Looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I forgive you and I love you. At first, it may seem strange, even impossible. You might feel resistance, discomfort, even tears. But these reactions are signs that you're touching wounds that need healing. Each time you practice this exercise, you're reprogramming old patterns. You're telling your subconscious that you're worthy of love and forgiveness. Over time, these words begin to penetrate more deeply, and you begin to feel a lightness, an opening in your heart that perhaps you haven't felt in years. Forgiveness isn't a single event, but a continuous process. There will be days when you'll feel you've forgiven completely, and other days when the pain will resurface. This is completely normal and part of the healing journey. Louise Hay teaches us to be patient and gentle with ourselves during this process. Each layer of forgiveness you work through takes you closer to your true essence, to the loving and free person you were born to be. And as you free yourself from these emotional chains, you discover that you have much more energy, joy, and capacity to love. But where do these wounds so deep that need so much forgiveness come from? Who lives inside you? Inside you lives a child who carries all the memories, all the wounds, and all the joys of your childhood. Louise Hay taught us that many of our adult emotional patterns have deep roots in the experiences we lived when we were small and vulnerable. This inner child is still there, waiting to be seen, heard, and loved. When you experience intense emotional reactions that seem disproportionate to the current situation, it's often this inner child who's reacting from an old wound. Recognizing and healing this part of you is essential for true emotional freedom. Think about how children process the world around them. They don't have the capacity to understand that adults have their own problems, their own pains. When a parent yells, a child doesn't think my parent is stressed about work. They think I did something wrong. I'm not good enough, according to Louise Hay. These childhood conclusions become fundamental beliefs we carry throughout life. Unless we do the conscious work of revisiting and transforming them, these beliefs form the foundation of our self-esteem, our relationships, and our capacity to receive love. I nurture my inner child with love and unconditional acceptance. Consider the story of David, a 42-year-old man who always had difficulty expressing his needs in relationships. He became invisible, always putting others first, never asking for what he really wanted. When he began to explore his inner child, David remembered how, when he was small, his parents were always too busy, always too tired. He learned that his needs were a burden, so he stopped expressing them. That 5-year-old child was still driving the choices of the 42-year-old man. Louise Hay used to say that until we recognize and heal these wounds, we'll continue repeating the same patterns. Connecting with your inner child isn't just a psychological metaphor. It's a real and tangible healing process. You can begin simply by closing your eyes and visualizing yourself as a child. How old are you in this image? How are you feeling? What does this child need to hear? Perhaps they need to hear that they're loved, that they're safe, that they don't need to be perfect to deserve love. You, as a conscious and loving adult, can offer your inner child everything they didn't receive at the time. You can be the loving parent they always needed. I am the loving protector of my inner child. When you begin to reparent your inner child, something magical happens. You notice that those emotional triggers begin to lose their intensity. Situations that used to leave you devastated are now easier to navigate. You develop a deep compassion for yourself, understanding that you always did the best you could with the tools you had. Louise Hay reminds us that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. You can rewrite the narrative. You can offer healing to that wounded child who lives inside you. And as you heal your inner child, you naturally begin to relate to yourself in a completely new way. But how exactly do we build this new relationship of love with ourselves? The missing love, self-love, isn't selfishness, isn't vanity, isn't arrogance. Louise Hay taught us that self-love is the foundation of everything: your physical health, your emotional health, your relationships, your capacity to thrive in life. When you truly love yourself, you make decisions that honor your well-being. You establish healthy boundaries. You treat yourself with the kindness and respect you deserve. But for many of us, loving ourselves seems like a foreign concept, something other people do, but that somehow doesn't apply to us. The truth is, you can't give what you don't have if you don't love yourself. It's impossible to love others in a healthy and full way. We often confuse self-love with self-indulgence, or with a list of external care. Yes, taking care of your body, doing things that bring you joy, that's part of self-love. But according to Louise Hay, true self-love begins with how you speak to yourself, the thoughts you allow to inhabit your mind. Do you notice the internal dialogue that happens all day long? For many people, this dialogue is cruel, critical, relentless. You speak to yourself in a way you'd never speak to someone you love. Imagine if you treated a dear friend the same way you treat yourself. Would that friend still be around? I speak to myself with love, kindness, and compassion. Think of Rachel, a brilliant and talented woman who, despite all her achievements, never felt good enough. She looked in the mirror and saw only flaws. She reviewed her social interactions and criticized herself for every word she said. She worked to exhaustion, trying to prove her worth, but it was never enough. When Rachel discovered Louise Hay's work, she realized she'd been living an entire life without self-love. Starting to practice positive affirmations seemed silly at first, but she persisted. Slowly, something began to change. She began to treat herself with more kindness, to recognize her qualities, to celebrate her victories. I love and approve of myself exactly as I am. Self-love also means honoring your needs and establishing healthy boundaries. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How many times have you sacrificed yourself to please others, leaving your own needs aside? Louise Hay reminds us that saying no to others sometimes means saying yes to yourself. It's not cruel, it's not selfish, it's necessary. When you establish clear boundaries, you're communicating to the world and to yourself that you matter, that your time matters, that your energy matters. People who truly love you will respect these boundaries, and those who don't, well, that gives you valuable information about the nature of those relationships. Cultivating self-love is a daily practice, not a destination you reach and that's it. It's a choice you make every moment. The choice to treat yourself with kindness, to forgive yourself when you are, to celebrate when you succeed, to honor your emotions without judgment. Louise Hay used to say that when you truly love yourself, you become a magnet for positive experiences, healthy relationships, and abundance in all areas of life, because you're no longer operating from a place of lack and need, but from fullness and worthiness. And that energy changes everything. But how can we reprogram these old thought patterns that keep us trapped? And stay with me, because soon we're going to do together a powerful practical exercise that will help you embody everything we're learning. You'll be able to apply this knowledge in a tangible and transformative way. Don't go away. The best is yet to come. **** words that heal **** positive affirmations are one of the most powerful tools Louise Hay left us as a legacy. They may seem too simple to be effective, but the science behind them is profound and transformative. Every thought you have creates a chemical reaction in your brain and body. When you repeat negative thoughts constantly, you're literally programming your nervous system to operate from fear, anxiety, and limitation. Positive affirmations work as an antidote, reprogramming these neural patterns and creating new pathways of thought that support your healing and growth. According to Louise Hay, the resistance you feel when saying positive affirmations is exactly the sign that you need them. When you say I love myself and feel a tightness in your chest, when you say I deserve good things and an internal voice screams no, you don't deserve it, these reactions are showing you where your deepest limiting beliefs are. The beauty of affirmations is that they don't need to be believed immediately to work. You're planting seeds in the garden of your subconscious mind. With consistent and loving repetition, these seeds begin to germinate, and eventually you notice that what once seemed impossible now seems natural. I choose thoughts that nourish and elevate me. Consider the story of Thomas, a man who struggled with severe anxiety for years. He tried therapy, medication, breathing techniques, but nothing seemed to touch the root of the problem. When he discovered Louise Hay's affirmations, he was skeptical. How could simple words change something so deep? But he decided to try. Every morning, looking at himself in the mirror, he said, I am safe. I trust the process of life. At first, the words seemed empty, even ridiculous, but Thomas persisted. After a few weeks, he noticed his anxiety beginning to decrease. After a few months, he was living a life that previously seemed impossible. I trust the process of life and know that everything is unfolding perfectly. The key to working with affirmations effectively is consistency in emotion. It's not enough to just repeat words mechanically. You need to feel the affirmation. You need to connect it with a positive emotion. Louise Hay suggested saying affirmations in front of the mirror, looking into your own eyes, because this creates a deeper connection with your inner self. You can also write your affirmations, sing them, record them, and listen to them throughout the day. The more you expose your mind to these new thought patterns, the more quickly they integrate into your belief system. And remember, be gentle with yourself in this process. If you forget to do your affirmations one day, don't criticize yourself. Simply start again the next day. Affirmations work best when they're personalized for your specific needs. Louise Hay created affirmations for practically all areas of life and all physical and emotional conditions. If you're dealing with self-esteem issues, your affirmations can focus on self-love and worthiness. If you're facing financial challenges, you can work with affirmations of prosperity and abundance. If you're healing relationships, you can use affirmations of forgiveness and love. The important thing is that the affirmations resonate with you, that they touch exactly where you need healing. And as you transform your thoughts, you transform your emotional reality and, eventually, your external life as well. But where exactly can we create this internal space of peace while doing this work? Asterisk, asterisk, your secret refuge, asterisk, asterisk. Amid the chaos of the external world, you have the power to create an internal refuge of peace and safety. Louise Hay taught us that we can't always control what happens around us, but we can absolutely control the internal environment we cultivate. This emotional sanctuary is a sacred space within you where you can retreat at any moment to find calm, clarity, and connection with your deepest essence. It's a place where the noise of the world can't reach you, where you're completely safe and loved. Building this sanctuary is an act of profound self-love and an essential tool for navigating life's emotional storms. Creating this internal space begins with the conscious intention to disconnect from external drama and reconnect with your inner peace. According to Louise Hay, this doesn't mean ignoring your problems or living in denial, but rather creating an emotional anchor point from which you can deal with challenges in a more centered and effective way. Think about how a strong tree remains rooted during a storm. Its branches may sway, but its roots remain firm in the ground. Your internal sanctuary is these roots. When you have this space established, external circumstances have less power to destabilize you. I create a space of peace and safety within me. Imagine Emily, a single mother who worked 2 jobs and cared for 3 children. Her life was a constant whirlwind of demands, responsibilities, and stress. She felt constantly overwhelmed, on the verge of collapse. When Emily learned about the concept of internal sanctuary through Louise Hay's work, she began to dedicate just 5 minutes every morning to sit in silence, breathe deeply, and visualize a place of peace within herself. Those 5 minutes became her lifeline. Even on the most chaotic days, she could close her eyes for a moment and return to this internal space, remembering who she really was beyond all her responsibilities. I allow myself moments of peace, knowing I deserve this care. Your internal sanctuary can take any form that resonates with you. It can be a tranquil beach, a flowering garden, a serene forest, or simply a sensation of light and calm. Louise Hay suggested that you visit this space regularly through meditation and visualization, making it increasingly real and accessible. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to access this refuge, even in moments of great stress. You can add sensory elements to your visualization: the sound of waves, the smell of flowers, the sensation of sun on your skin. These details make the experience more vivid and powerful, creating a deep relaxation response in your nervous system. Building and maintaining this internal sanctuary is an ongoing practice, not something you do once and forget. It's like tending a garden. You need to water the plants, remove the weeds, nourish the soil. Your internal sanctuary needs regular attention, especially in difficult times. Louise Hay reminds us that this space is your birthright, a place where you always belong, where you're always welcome. No one can take this from you. And when you have this refuge established, you discover an emotional resilience you perhaps didn't know you possessed. You become capable of facing life's challenges with more grace, knowing you always have a safe place to return to. But how does everything we're learning connect with our physical well-being? Asterisk, asterisk, when the body speaks, asterisk, asterisk, your body and mind aren't separate entities, they're deeply interconnected, constantly communicating with each other in a complex dance of energy and information. Louise Hay dedicated her life to exploring and teaching this connection, showing how our unprocessed emotions manifest as physical symptoms and diseases. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, creates a biochemical response in your body. When you carry chronic stress, repressed anger, or deep sadness, your body eventually begins to scream what your voice can't say. Understanding this connection is fundamental for true and lasting healing. According to Louise Hay, each part of the body corresponds to specific emotional patterns. Back problems can be related to feeling lack of support in life. Headaches can arise from excessive self-criticism and mental tension. Digestive problems often reflect difficulty in digesting life experiences or emotions. This doesn't mean every disease is purely psychosomatic or that you're making up your symptoms. It means there's an emotional and mental dimension that needs to be addressed along with physical treatment. When you treat only the symptom without addressing the underlying emotional cause, you're putting a band-aid on a wound that needs deeper care. I hear my body's messages with love and understanding. Think of Margaret, a successful executive who developed fibromyalgia at 45. She visited numerous doctors, tried various treatments, but the pain persisted. It was only when Margaret began to explore the mind-body connection through Louise Hay's teachings that she noticed a pattern. Her pain intensified whenever she felt overwhelmed or when she couldn't express her needs. Her body was literally screaming, "Stop! Pay attention to me! Take care of me!" When Margaret began to honor her emotions, to establish boundaries and practice emotional self-care, her physical pain began to decrease. It wasn't instant magic, but it was a real and profound transformation. My body is my ally, guiding me toward greater balance and health. The good news is that this connection works both ways. Just as negative emotions can create physical symptoms, emotional healing practices can promote physical well-being. Louise Hay saw this repeatedly in her own life and in the lives of thousands of people she helped. When you work with affirmations, forgiveness, self-love, and emotional healing, you're not just changing your mind, you're changing your body's chemistry, strengthening your immune system, reducing inflammation, and creating conditions for physical healing. Your body has an incredible capacity to heal itself when you remove the emotional and mental blockages that impede this natural process. Honoring the mind-body connection means treating your body with reverence and gratitude, not with judgment and criticism. It means listening to the signals it sends you, instead of ignoring them or suppressing them with medication without addressing the root. It means recognizing that you're a holistic being, where each aspect of your being affects all other aspects. Louise Hay invites us to see our body as a sacred temple, a precious vehicle that allows us to experience this life. When you care for your emotions, you're caring for your body. When you care for your body, you're supporting your emotional health. Everything is connected. Everything is one. And when you embrace this truth, you open the doors to healing that is truly transformative and complete. Asterisk, asterisk, your transformation begins. Asterisk, asterisk, emotional journaling exercise with affirmations. Now that you've absorbed all this precious knowledge, it's time to put it into practice. I'm going to guide you through an emotional journaling exercise that will help you process your emotions in a healthy way and reprogram old patterns with powerful affirmations. Get a notebook or journal that will be your sacred healing space. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Light a candle if you want. Play soft music. Create an environment that invites loving introspection. Step 1. Emotional identification. At the top of the page, write, "What am I feeling now?" Allow yourself to write freely, without censorship or judgment. Don't worry about grammar or making sense. Just let the words flow. Name your emotions as precisely as possible. Are you sad, anxious, angry, resentful, hurt? The more specific you are, the more powerful the exercise will be. Step 2. Origin tracking now. Ask yourself, where does this feeling come from? Try to trace the emotion to its origin. Is it something that happened today? Is it an old pattern being activated? Is it your inner child asking for attention? Write everything that comes to mind, allowing the layers to reveal themselves naturally. Louise Hay taught us that awareness is the first step toward transformation. Step 3. Dialogue with the emotion. Write a letter to your emotion, as if it were a person. For example, "Dear anxiety, I see you. I understand you're trying to protect me. Thank you for caring, but I'm safe now." This dialogue creates a different relationship with your emotions. Instead of fighting against them, you acknowledge and honor them. Step 4. Personalized affirmation based on what you discovered. Create a specific positive affirmation for this situation. If you identified fear of not being good enough, your affirmation might be, "I am more than enough exactly as I am." If you discovered resentment, it might be, "I free myself from the past and choose peace now." Write your affirmation 3 times, feeling each word penetrate your heart. Step 5. Action commitment. Finish by writing a small loving action you can do for yourself today. It could be taking a relaxing bath, calling a dear friend, taking a walk in nature, or simply looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, "I love you." This action concretizes your intention of healing and self-care. Practice this exercise whenever you feel intense emotions arising. Over time, you'll create a precious record of your healing journey, and you'll be able to look back and see how much you've grown and transformed. Louise Hay believed deeply in the power of writing as a healing tool, and this exercise embodies her wisdom in a practical and accessible way. Asterisk, asterisk, the new path. Asterisk, asterisk, you made it here, and that in itself is already a victory. The simple fact that you dedicated this time to dive deeply into your emotions, to learn about healing and transformation, shows that you're committed to your own well-being. Louise Hay always said that the willingness to change is the first step, and you've already taken that step. Now, I invite you to take everything you learned here and apply it with gentleness and patience in your daily life. Remember, healing isn't a race, it's a journey. There will be difficult days, and that's okay. There will be moments when you forget all this and return to old patterns, and that's okay too. The important thing is that you can always start again. You can always choose love instead of fear. You can always return to your internal sanctuary of peace. You're worthy of all the healing, all the love, all the joy that life has to offer. Allow yourself to receive these blessings with open arms and an open heart. I believe in you, and more importantly, I hope you begin to believe in yourself. Go with love, go with light, and know that you're never alone on this journey.